Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. This is Warren Davis, and we're here for your live Q&A Investment Dominator call to get all of your questions answered. And so happy to see quite a few of you on the line already, and hopefully some more will be joining us. So it is now Thursday, the 17th of September. Excuse me, October. Thursday, the 17th of October. And we're going to do a real quick sound check and hopefully visual check. You can see my screen here with the graph of how the Investment Dominator does assist you. If you go on and someone give me you can hear me okay and you can see my screen, that would be great. We will move forward here. So my indicators say that I'm being heard. Usually Brian from Arkansas will tell me that he's saying, "Oh, thank you, Teresa. I appreciate it." I think we have some shy ones on board. Nobody wants to no one wants to give me any response yet, but hopefully you'll warm up a little bit. So we're just those that are brand new. Want to make sure you know how to get your questions answered. That's what we're here for today, and we're going to make sure that you have your control box and you can just type your question into this box here. Don't worry about raising the hand because I normally don't see the hand. Just go on and type your question in and hit send, and your question will get straight to me immediately. So again, we're here to get your questions answered. Those of you that are brand new, we want to take all levels of questions. So please don't be shy. Just go on and type in your question. If you are just joining us for the first time, I want to say welcome to you. And if you could, before your question, if you either put a question mark or the word question, that will let me know that you are sending in an actual question for me to answer. A lot of times when there's a lot of you in the room, so many comments sometimes come across as well. And I love to see the comments. Definitely want to see those comments, but we also want to see the questions. So if you put a question mark or the word question, I will be able to distinguish between a question and a comment. Thanks so much, everybody. And we're going to, just by way of public service announcement, want to make sure you remember that the 24th, which is next Thursday, a week from today, we will be canceling, at least at this point, looks like we will be canceling that particular webinar. I'll be traveling. We'll be going back to Denver for the live event. And I just want to, if I could possibly run the webinar perhaps as soon as my plane lands, I would try to do that. I'm going to see if I even think I'm going to have enough time to do that. I would actually be running the webinar from the Denver International Airport. So I'll see if I can possibly do that. If not, then it will be canceled, and I will get you a cancellation in place by the close of business probably on Monday. This Monday coming up, I think it's the 21st. So you should see that in your email, and then I will also, if I'm going to cancel it, you'll get an email, and then I will cancel the actual webinar, so they won't even be available for you to select on next Thursday. Just want to make sure everybody that normally comes on Thursday will, govern themselves accordingly. And so, also wanted to share something with you right up front. I did share, I think about a month or so ago, about a property that we had purchased, and I share this with people, especially those of you that are brand new, just to encourage you, to let you know that this business is phenomenal. It blows my mind sometimes when I look at some of the deals that other people have received and that we ourselves have received. I shared with you about a parcel we bought for $50. I mean, seriously, $50. It's the lowest amount we've paid for any parcel where we actually got a deal. So of course the person, I was surprised they even accepted our offer, of $50. And so we sold that, um, a little over a month ago, on a seller financing deal for $4,500. And if you look at the profit margin on that, it's just, it blows my mind. Anything we could purchase for $50 and then turn around and sell it. Probably it took us about 3 or 4 weeks. Um, that in 3 or 4 weeks when we before we actually sold that parcel, where we marketed it. But a gentleman came over and wanted to do seller financing, so he pays us. um, of course he paid his down payment. I don't think I'm trying to remember if we offered him a down payment of something like $500. I think he gave us down on the property, so that more than paid for our the property, as well as some of our closing costs on the property. And so now he makes payments of a little over $200 a month for this property that we literally paid $50 for. And so I just say that to encourage you. I mean, there's been several properties that we paid only $500 for, or maybe $1,000 for those properties. So just want to encourage you that you know the deals are out there, but I mostly wanted to answer, like, this first question I'm going to answer is, when should we close on a seller financing deal, or when should we close on that type of property? Obviously, the process is, you know, once you've done your due diligence and you've checked out this parcel, whatever parcel you might have that you're going to offer for seller financing, it's at least it's been our experience, you don't have to close right away on that kind of parcel, because remember, they're doing seller financing, so they're going to go out, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the road. Um, and the parcel is going to remain in your name as a company until those individuals have paid off that, particular parcel. So with that said, we're just now getting around to closing on that property because we had plenty of time. I mean, the guy gave us his money. We'd done our due diligence, found that there wasn't going to be any title encumbrance, and we got the property. We're now going to get the property over in our name. It's going to remain in our name while he makes us his, little $200+ payments each month. And so I was just answering this question because a lot of individuals I've been speaking with, in terms of some on the onboarding call, some on the um, the coaching students that I handle, they're wondering, well, okay, when do you really need to close on a property? And they don't have a lot of money, especially if you're brand new. You may not have a lot of capital to actually pay for some parcels that are under seller financing. Well, the good news is you don't have to put your money up right away. You have some time on those because there's obviously going to be a term period, and and so those deals can take a little time, and you can close on them, down the road. And this one has taken us a little time, and not because been anything wrong, but we've had to go back and forth with the seller. The bottom line is, you don't have to close right away on those types of deals where you have the seller financing involved. You can take your time, uh, and then so you don't come out of pocket with a lot of money, because a lot of us start this business and we don't have a lot of capital. I know, we sure didn't have a lot of capital to put in and buy very many expensive properties. So I've got a question here from Teresa on how many deals do you do in the range $300 to $600 range. um, That's a good question, Teresa. How many deals do we do in that range? Um, I can't say we do the majority of our deals in that range. They're definitely not. Um, I can recollect at least I can recollect, since we've started the business, at least 5, 6 deals that were in the $500 range. And when I say 5 or 6 deals, those were the ones actually that turned a real good profit, where we sold it, for maybe $5,000, $6,000, something like that. some even more than, the $6,000 or $7,000 range. But those don't come along often, especially that, where there's not a problem. We've had a lot of opportunity. Um, we've had a lot of opportunity to buy, very inexpensive property, but when we do our due diligence and we check into that property, we find that it's in a flood area, it's in a flood zone, or it's not buildable for some reason. So, obviously it's not worth our time. We have to do our due diligence and determine. But occasionally those sweet deals come along where someone really just wants to get rid of it. There's really nothing wrong with the property. They don't know what to do with it. The family doesn't want it, and they just pass it on to us. And so if you just continue to send your neutral letters out, you're going to find deals like that. So $300 to $600 range, they do come along. We find a lot of our deals in the, maybe 1,100 to 1,900 or $2,000 is what we pay, um, for a lot of properties. And let's see, you said, I think you lowballed about 13 offers, in the higher jack range. Yeah, that's, it's understandable to second guess yourself, Teresa. It's, when you're, especially when you're first starting out, you know, it's a lot of times people go through these changes where they don't want to have somebody get upset with them about a low ball offer. So, um, so they go through those changes where they have to get used to, you know, somebody writing them back, and or even giving them a phone call saying, you must be crazy, uh, if you think I'm going to sell you my property at that such a so low price. So we have to make sure that we're able to tell them, hey, well, you're obviously someone that's knows the value of your property, and you're going to, get the most for your property. Well, our company goes after those people that are just tired of their property and want to get rid of it. So it's just our business model that, you don't fit our business model. And Mr. Seller, that's perfectly fine. It's okay. And I wish you much success. And you know I won't call you, and please don't call me. And that's the way we leave it. You kind of get, to get a thick skin for that. So don't worry about people calling you back and you know getting on your case about the low ball offer. And a lot of times when we're brand new, we're second guessing ourselves as to what those offers should be. I went through that with several of the offers, thinking, okay, maybe I had to offer a little bit more on this. And hey, I'm learning that, people are going to either do business with you or they're not. They're of the mindset that we're looking for, or they're not of that mindset. They're either tired of that property, or they still want to hang on to it and get the most out of it. So, you know, just enjoy the ride, and go through the numbers, because if you keep going through those numbers, you're going to find those individuals that will practically give you their property, um, because they're so tired of it. So, hoping that helps you a little bit with your mindset, as you're approaching, some of these individuals. And I mean, none of us like to be fussed at, but hey, fuss at me all you want, and fuss at me all the way to the bank. That's the way I look at it, because I'm going to make some money off of folks that are just tired of their property. So anyway, enough on that. We're going to move on. Oh, thanks, Teresa. Um, yeah, you learn to enjoy people, enjoy people no matter what state they're at. And we have met some of the greatest people in this business. So I want you to be encouraged. You're going to meet some wonderful people that are going to be, thank you for taking their property off their hands. So get ready for that. And here we go. We're going to answer a question that came up from Don on last call we had on last Thursday. She said she was wondering if we could go over setting up ads in the Investment Dominator. Now she says seller site. I don't know if Don's on the call with us right now or not, but going over, when I read that on Thursday, I wasn't sure. It seemed like a pretty loaded question, so I didn't have time to really address it. But she said, I'm wondering if you could go over setting up ads in the Investment Dominator. Um, Seems to be having trouble or difficulty with this. Well, now, if you're referring to ads, an actual ad in the Investment Dominator, ads are automatically created for you as you continue to go through this process. And let me get to the records that we're dealing with. That's the question regarding ads. So the records we're dealing with are in the complete ready to sell mode here, that status, complete ready to sell, which means we're marketing these particular records. So as you're building, that's why you should do your due diligence. Okay, let me get rid of that. You should definitely do your due diligence. Okay, let me do it the easy way. Just go over in here selling. Okay, here we go. As you do your due diligence, you should be building your records and all the data, all of this, as much of this data, your short legal, even a regular legal, long legal description, if you possibly can, your property address information, all of this data, as much as you can, the zoning should go into your records as you call the county and do your due diligence, because all of this information Investment Dominator is going to pull from in order to build your ads and your listings that are going to be when you get ready to market your property. So the idea is to gather as much of this information. Are there any improvements on the property? Anything that you can gather from individuals that go out and look at property that they want to buy from you, or that the county gives you on this property. Are there power lines? Answer as many of these questions as you can, because this is all going to serve as information that supports your ads. Now, I'm going to make a distinction between an ad and a listing. You know, um, Both have, the information on them, but obviously an ad is not a listing. A listing is on your website. Ads are what you use, like when you go to Craigslist and you put in an ad, or Zillow. You're going to use the ad information primarily to market your property. So um, my point here in showing you all these screens here, all these displays, different fields, make sure you get as much of the information in your land records as possible, so that when it comes time for you to do your ads or to create your ads, like, okay, here I am, I'm going to look at record number 20 here. And all I have to do is come over here and this one function, left click on that. And you see we can generate documents, market research, generate listing, generate ad. See, generate ad is different from generating a listing. So Don, if you're talking about setting up an ad, you come in here and you say generate ad. And this is all information that you can use in an actual ad that may go in. I'm thinking of Craigslist right off the top of my head. So that's how you generate an ad from all the information you gather in your records. Investment Dominator automatically puts together an ad for you. Okay, now I want to call your attention to these fields that are in yellow. Okay, whenever you see on your generate ad where you see fields in yellow, this means that Investment Dominator is looking for there to be some value in the fields that are in the records. So, and that's why it highlights in bold, agent's name or company, agent's phone number. Let's go back and look at the record. Remember, it's agent's name or agent's phone number. And these records are make sure they're in complete ready to sell status. They can be an open escrow or detailed research, open escrow detailed research status, or complete ready to sell. And these, then your ads, you'll have a generate ad option here. If you don't have it in that status, if they're in pending preliminary research or they're in prospect status, you'll come over and hit this and there won't be any place for you to generate an ad. Okay, so we're going to edit that record and we're going to come back, and remember I said we're looking for the listing agent's name or company and the listing agent's phone number. So let's see, it should be down here. Not the seller agents, but the listing agents. I believe that's the one I'm looking for, listing agents. Yes, here it is. Listing agent's name or company. And if we hover over this question, it says this is the contact person or company that will appear on your property listing and ad. So, and this is the contact phone number. So in order to get rid of those bold yellow, I'm just going to put my name and some phone number. Okay, and don't forget to save your record. Always update your record. And now even from this level, if I come in here and I say generate ad, okay, now you see those bold is gone and it says, you can text Warren Davis at this number. And so that's the way you clear up those yellow highlights. Investment Dominator, that's its way of saying, hey, there's the information that I need that's missing. So now, just want to let you know, because I'm sure I'm going to get the question, if there is no listing agent, if you don't have anything to put in there, what do you put in there? Okay, if there is no listing agent or listing phone number, all right, you can just put in there, you can put none if you want, or I wouldn't put NA, but if you don't want to include that, obviously you don't want that bold yellow in your ad or anything like that. So if I don't really have one, I can put none. But I would probably put, if I were you, just so the Investment Dominator is satisfied, I'd put my own name in there and my own phone number. But you could also put none if you wanted, so that just so that your ad, looks reasonable. Okay, so I'm gonna see if there's anything else on that particular subject. The only thing I did want to mention in addition to that, when you're generating an ad, if you need to, like with Craigslist, Craigslist may be looking for HTML code in order to, have your ad work correctly. So we've built into Investment Dominator, all you have to do is just say copy this. It automatically selects it and it's going to copy it into a buffer for you, so that let me make sure what I'm saying is correct. I'm going to just so if I were to copy that and I were to say, okay, I wanted to paste it, I'm doing a Control V. Yep, it does. So when it says copy, it copies it into a buffer for you, so that you can just go hold down the Control key and hit V as in Victor, or, and you're pasting basically the contents of what is in that buffer, so that you could place this content on, some ad like Craigslist or whatever, who requires HTML code. So that's been built in for you. So here's your ad information. And I went for the longest time in this business, I didn't know that Investment Dominator automatically created my ads, my property ads. So there I was, creating them manually as I went from one platform, Craigslist or Zillow. I would be creating my own, and didn't need to do that. Okay, so all right, so that's an ad. Now, if your question has to do with your listings, remember that in order for you to be able to generate a listing, those of you that are at this stage, you need to have it, complete ready to sell status. That's one thing that needs to take place. Or I think you can have open escrow, detailed research, complete ready to sell, or even sold. But and you can have found buyer, open escrow, because these are all the different statuses that will allow you to create a listing. And again, the listings, if I'm going to say generate listing at this point, this is where the listing is going to show up on my actual, your selling site. So, and it has your pictures, etc., and any links that you placed. And so a buyer can come in and say, okay, I'm interested in a certain property. So, and in order for you to create a listing, now I have to check this, double check this again. For Investment Dominator to actually be able to create a listing for you. So we might ask the question, how do we create a listing in Investment Dominator? You obviously have to have it in the right status, number one. Complete ready to sell, as I stated, or found buyer or sold, or complete, either one of those statuses. And then you need to have at least a sale price. And I know that it used to work like this. I'm pretty sure it still works like this. When you come down here to your property listing area, it used to check to see if you have a headline, a heading, or a subheading. But I think you don't have to have, you don't need to have any long or short description information. But I think in order for you to get a listing, you still do need to have an actual sale price. So you have to decide what you're going to sell that property for before Investment Dominator will allow you to generate a listing. And the only other part that I've noticed, I've had some questions from some of the onboard students that are at the place where they're generating listings. Let's see, those listings, okay, they also must be marked public. So just make sure, and I think it defaults to public when you get to a certain status, but just make sure that your listings always are on public, not private, if you want that listing to actually display on your site. So that's been a question. I've had some people have come back and said, hey, I'm not getting my listing, I created it, but it's not showing. And I go in here and look, and it's marked in their system, in their account, it's marked private. So make sure that is it, and you have a sale price, and that it's in the right status, and you should be good to go for your listings. So I'm hoping that covers your question that came from Dawn on last Thursday. And also don't forget that we do our listings, when we generate listings, we do it based on an AIDA principle. And I won't take time to explain that. That's something that Jack talks about. On AIDA, it's as an acronym, is attention, interest, desire, and action. I've had several students that have come back and said, hey, these properties they're not moving, and I look at their listing, and their listing looks a lot like some of the ads that you see in Zillow now from individuals that don't use the AIDA principle or the AIDA methodology. So it's got to grab someone's attention, and it's got to generate an interest. Why should they buy that property? And then it has to cultivate some desire for them to want to take action and actually, send you some money. All right. So moving on. Um, Hope that's a little helpful to you on those of you that are at that place. So Carlos had written into us as well and had a question from last Thursday, and it had to do with if Land Watch specifically. So if Land Watch shows a county, this is a little bit of a loaded question, which on page 1. Okay, and I'm not sure I completely understand all of the question, but I'm going to address it from the perspective that I do understand. He said, if Landwalk shows a county which on page 1 starts at $1 and page 8 starts at $10,000 up to page 18 for $100,000, would this county not be a good candidate to mail letters? Okay, so this gets into the area of, how do you find your new areas or your target markets? That's what we're talking about here, is how to find your target markets. Now, if I were looking at Land Watch or I'm looking at Zillow, and I know there's a teaching that we're sharing. I think Jack shares it on the 5-day Facebook. That you can look at an area based on the amount of sales that have been going on in that particular area or that particular county. And, maybe from Land Watch or from Zillow, you get an idea based on what is sold, whether or not that would be a good target county or a county that you might want to go after. Okay, so I'm still, I'm still a person that is, I'm doing it the way I was taught, and when we started this business, we always found, the fastest growing states in the United States first, and then we went into the fastest growing cities, and then from there we asked, Google for the fastest growing counties, within that state. Since then, we've learned that we can go a little bit faster. We can go for the fastest growing states. And just to give you an idea, so I guess to answer that question, um, I wouldn't really be able to tell, Carlos, from a Land Watch or Zillow. I mean, I might be able to give an idea what the sales activity is in that area, but would that be a place I want to go after? I don't know that it would be. So I'll go into Google and I'll look at, a site just like this, where I'm going to find the fastest growing states first in the United States, and then I might use another Google search to find my fastest growing counties. But here are the 10 fastest growing states in the Union for 2019. We're looking at North Dakota, Texas, Utah. I'll look at something like this to get an idea. If I step into this particular state being number 1, then it goes into some of the biggest cities within that state. Like North Dakota, we have Fargo, and Bismarck, which I think is also the capital, if I'm not mistaken, Grand Forks. I don't live in these areas, but if I were looking to find my target market, this is kind of some place I would start to get an idea of what are the fastest growing, what are some of the biggest cities in the fastest growing states, right? And then I'm going to do another search because I want to know in the United States, what are some of the fastest growing counties. And again, this is not an exhaustive uh, search. The way I might completely do my analysis, what I'm giving you is, if I'm going to look at Zillow, or I'm going to look at Land Watch, and if I'm going to say, well, hey, this county looks like there's a lot of activity, they do a lot of sales in that county, I want some census data to back up those numbers that I'm seeing in the market. I want to know, why are people moving to North Dakota right now? Why are people moving to Hayes County, Texas, Williams County in North Dakota? See, these are the fastest growing counties, 25 fastest growing counties. So I want to know, why are people moving to Sumter County in Florida, Osceola County in Florida? Once you can answer those kinds of questions, that gives you more of a barometer if you're in the right county, or in a county you want to go after. Now, if I see, just for an example, if I see the fastest growing county from one search is saying North Dakota, and I've already seen that North Dakota is one of the fastest growing states, okay, now if I go onto Zillow or to Land Watch and I see a lot of sales going on in North Dakota, especially in Williams County, all right, that backs up my data, and it backs up my position that might be a good county. So that's kind of my logic in approaching, finding my target market. And again, this call is not for that. This is really Investment Dominator. That's more, definitely more of your business process. But I just wanted to address, Carlos, based on the information you gave me, it's kind of difficult to determine if I would go after that county that was on Land Watch. And so your next question, uh, Carlos, had to do with, can you quickly explain the types of counties that, can I quickly, boy, I wish I could do it quickly, um, explain the types of counties that, to avoid. And I really wish I could give you more insight there, Carlos. I really can't, on because like I say, I need to determine, why are people moving to these areas, and understanding, what is going on, because those are long-term moves. When you understand why people are moving to a particular area, those can be your long-term barometers to determine, hey, that's a good area for me to go after. So it takes some research up front. And I tell folks, your analysis stage for where you're going to address your first target market, that takes a little time, but give yourself that time, because trust me, once you start hitting certain counties and you start getting responses, you'll be glad that you took your time and you went through this analysis. It's not something that should be done quickly. And I've had lots of people telling me different reasons that they, go after certain counties. Believe it or not, one gentleman told me that, his mother's middle name was Lucille, and that's why he was in Lucille County, Maryland. I mean, and I'm going, are you kidding me? Um, you know, you can't. That's you just can't approach it like that. It's got to be based on some numbers and some data that supports your thinking that that's a good place to go. Okay. No offense to Lucille, but um, I just can't. I just can't. I can't determine, what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be doing business for the next year plus, um, you know, based on my mama's name. So, okay, enough on that soapbox. I'm off of that. Let's move on. How do we create? Now, this is something cool I wanted to show you guys. This wasn't really a question, um, as so much as it's a cool new feature that we've had put into the Investment Dominator this year, and that's how to create a custom page. Now that's been, that functionality has been in Investment Dominator, but the cool feature is a custom page that is interactive with your customer. Okay. And when I first saw this, I mean, I got excited about it because and now that I'm off the job, I can implement a lot of these different aspects into our own business. But again, if we look at my sites, and let's say you come into your selling site, I'm going to show you first from the standpoint of selling site. So I come into my selling site. Oh, and that's not what I wanted you to see right yet. So, okay. So on my selling site, so I'm going to put it back to where it was before I changed it. Okay, so selling site, yours, you come in here, your default for your opt-in page might be default. Make sure it's not disabled, but it's either default or it may be some custom opt-in page that you created. I had a custom opt-in page that I created. And again, this is for when people first go to your site. So when they go to my selling site, one of the first things is I want this custom opt-in page to pop up. And this is where I want them to enter their first name and their email address, etc. Okay, that's fine. Now, if I wanted to have a different kind of page instead of the opt-in page, I want to create a different page so that when people come into my selling site, and again, this is a demo account, but when they access my selling site, what if we had where they could browse or they could search for the type of land that they're looking for, maybe in a specific county that they're looking for, and that they could actually see a map of all the counties I have for sale. Wouldn't that would be cool if they could see the um they could see the parcels I have for sale, and or they could search on their own my website and determine what data they want to see. Now that's what I'm going to show you how to do, how to create a page like that. So again, okay, we're going to customize, left click, and we're going to go under custom pages and posts. Now here is where I'm going to create my custom page. That's all I did. I went to create custom pages and posts, and I'm creating my custom page. It's going to be a single page, and I'm going to have a title here, something like, let's see, WD's land for sale, and I'm going to have a map on that. This is really slick. When I first saw that Alex and company had done this, I just thought, man, this is really, really good. So it's of course it can't be private. Remember, in Investment Dominator, anything that's private will not be seen by your users or by your customers. So it's got to be public. And I don't want it on the buying site menu. I want it on my selling site. And page description you can leave blank. But you notice as I created this page title, WD's land for sale map, it's going to create this URL over here, which I can actually, later on, I'll show you how you can actually access that URL anytime you want, but it creates that automatically for you. Now, here's where I'm going to insert. This is where where the cool upgrade came in for creating pages and posts. We're going to say, I want to do a property search, right? So this is a merge field that comes in and is going to allow me now to create a page that does a property search. And I'll say something like the title, maybe find your perfect property, and a little exclamation point there. So now I want to put it right under that. So I'm going to hit I think it's Shift and Enter. Okay, it puts it right under there. And then I'm going to create for my page. It's going to have, because the system is going to look in, it's going to do this property search, and it's going to pull everything in that you need for your property search. Then the next part, I'm going to say browse for your perfect property. And again, Shift and Enter brings me right to the next line. And I'm going to do a property listing map. And this code is going to be, this is so cool. It's going to be all done for you. So these are only two fields that you're going to see on this screen. And I come down here. And again, see, do I want to show the logo menu? I'm going to say no, and I don't want to show any banner. Well, I guess I can go and let that happen. I'll see how it comes out. Selling site logo is what I want. Buying site banner. I want to see the selling site banner. If I want to show any banner text, if I say yes, then I've got to put some text over here. And I'm just going to say interactive map. It's interactive search and map. All right. So now that's all the parameters I need for this page, this new page that I'm going to create. And then I'm just going to say add. All right. And Investment Dominator always puts it when you add something, it's down here at the bottom. So this is my page now. So let me show you what this does. So this is an actual active link. So when I left click on this link, voila, here's my interactive search and map page. Now what this is going to do is when I search for any item, it's going to look at all of my records that are in complete ready to sell mode, right? That I'm advertising on my site. It's going to pull those that data up. So this is find your perfect property. So you can search by state, you can search by county, you can search my site now by city, by county, by the parcel number, by the property number, by price, size, and acres. So this allows me to do your customer to come into your site now and do an interactive search on all of your data, all of your records that you have for sale, all of your property that you have for sale. They can look up any property in the county of Duval. I already know that I have a couple of records out there with Duval, and they're going to say find them. And voila, here comes back now my listings. It's gone into my site and it's pulled the listings that are in the Duval County. I mean, okay, I don't know if you all are impressed, but I was very impressed when I saw that. Real cool way for them to search my site. If I hit that again, so they can search now by these criteria and they can bring up the listings that you have available. Now, if I want to you see this map, browse for your perfect property. I could have spelled it right there, but you understand. Browse for your perfect property. It brings up a for sale sign for every piece of property that I'm having complete ready to sell that matches it's ready to be sold. Now guess what happens? I left click on that. Voila, it brings up my particular ad or listing of that property and the location it's in. And then if I want to say view details, it brings me right into that particular listing. And I'm just showing you this to show you the power of your Investment Dominator tool that, with this interactive map, your customers now have complete control of seeing all the property, because for every single property that I have for sale, there's going to be a little for sale sign just like this. So if you have property all over the United States, where however many you have, all they have to do is come in here and left click on that. They can see your listing, basically your listing information, and then they can view the details and decide, hey, they want to buy it. So it puts your buyers basically in control of the information that they are able to see. And you created a page like that. I just think it's so cool to be able to do that. Now, so how do I connect this now to my selling site? And again, we're only dealing with the selling site. You can get as creative as you want, do something like this for your buying site if you want to do that, if it's even applicable. But how am I going to connect this now to my selling site? I'm going to come into my selling site here. Okay, I'm going to display that. So that's under customize. Left click on customize. Then I'm going to select my selling site. Scroll down to the place where I talked about the opt-in page. Remember, the whole function of this opt-in page is when they come on your site, that's the first page they see, right? So if I want, I have my custom opt-in page now selected here. But now, look here, I'm going to select my brand new WD's land for sale and the map. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to update my site. Please don't forget to update your site. And so now, for my opt-in page, as soon as they access my selling site page, they're going to see this WD's land for sale map that I just created. They're going to see my brand new page. So you go into my site, I select selling site, voila. Here's my interactive search map page that I just created. They can come in and do their searching because this is all, within, the account that I have for Investment Dominator. Or they can see all the other land that I have for sale, and they can then, show me that they're interested that way. Now, what that means you won't collect their name. You may not collect their name and their address information, their email address information, because when they click on that and they say you want to view details, they're already in your listings. So it's up to you, based on your clients and based on your site and what you want to display on your site, if you want them to be able to, you want to collect their information so that it goes right into your buyers list. Because remember, that's the cool thing about your opt-in page. Having your opt-in page, custom opt-in page, is going to collect. All right. Okay, let me see. I'm just going to make sure I write this down. Your custom opt-in page, collect. And some of you may already know this, but those of you that are brand new may not realize that when you have your custom opt-in page and it's set, when you come then into your site, selling site, and you get this custom opt-in page, you have your first name. They enter their first name and their last name. They have to enter this information before they can see any of your listings. So then when they go back to Investment Dominator, that record is now in your buyers list. That's how you build your buyers list, is through your opt-in page. So if you're interested in building your buyers list, you want to keep your opt-in page in place. If you want to just allow your customers more freedom, you do have a real nice, page for them to control what they see. So let's see. So I had a question here for the opt-in page. Okay, for opt-in page, do we need an autoresponder such as Mail Chimp? No, not at all. Carlos, not at all. Your Mail Chimp, because that's a third party piece, or a third party vendor, I should say. MailChimp is a company that will do your mass mailings. So let me just write down the question. Do we need a autoresponder such as MailChimp? Now, MailChimp is going to allow you to mass mail. You can come in here, um, you can export all of your buyers, your potential buyers that have said, hey, I'm interested in some of your land. And you can do these mass emailings. MailChimp will allow you to do mass emailings to any of your buyer community. So um, for the opt-in page, you don't need MailChimp. MailChimp is not going to be connected with your opt-in page. What you'd have to do is you'd have to export all of your buyers here into a file. You'd send that file to MailChimp with the email addresses, and MailChimp will do mass mailings for you. Let's say you got some new hot parcels that are on the market, and you want all of your buyers to know about these hot parcels that you have for sale. MailChimp will now send an email blast to all of your buyers and let them know about all of your parcels that you have for sale. So no, you don't. And I didn't get quite as far as I wanted to get today in terms of the questions, but we at least got all the questions answered for today. I'm going to be going into some more, new features that we have in Investment Dominator. Hopefully, be able to cover them on Monday's webinar, so that we can just get some more of your questions answered. Is there any other questions I can answer before we get off the line? I'm not going to go into my next series of questions because it's going to take us much more than the 3 minutes that we have remaining. So based on the information I've covered today, if are there any other questions regarding anything that we could answer here quickly for you? Go ahead and send them in to me. And I'm not seeing any brand new ones come in. All right. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for us. We're at 2 minutes till, and just let me leave. I want to leave a couple of thoughts with you today. To persevere, continue to persevere in your business. Trust me, you will not be sorry that you stay with this business, because there's an anonymous writer that said the greatest oak was once a little nut who held its ground. I like that. The greatest oak was once a little nut who held its ground. Persevere. Even if family, talks about you and say, oh, okay, you're in one of those real estate things again, you keep on going, because you have a great tool in your hands. So don't be discouraged. Go forward, okay? Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll be back here on Monday at 5 p.m. to answer your questions. Remember, if you want your questions answered even before then, put in a support ticket and create a support ticket and write in your questions. And any of you that are writing in questions, if they're not getting to me, let me know that even on these calls. It's, hey, I wrote in, but you haven't covered my question here, and I'll find out what's going on with that. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you all on Monday.